my parents and said, look, I'd really like to do a story on you and on Robert and on the doctors.
Robert was in hospital at that time. I got there early and Robert, this little boy with his 2 legs chopped off and a bandage over his head, and he said, what are you doing here? And he said, read me a story. And he handed me a storybook. We bonded a little bit then because we've remained friends for the rest of our lives.
You don't understand, I need to get new ones every now and then.
And then I didn't know that Mary had initially rejected him until I interviewed her. And I was a bit shocked, and I thought, well, you better not write that. And she said, no, it's good, because other women, this is going to happen to other women, and they should know that this is the reaction.
And it took me some little while to adjust to the way he looked. But looking back now, I don't regret the way I was and the way I felt.
It wasn't just all over, great's done. There was just operation after operation. So when school came along, he was ready for it. It was not a problem. He was off and racing.
Yes, Robbie.
We can give them our love and attention and our care if they need it. And if they ever need something that we've got, we could share it with them.
I just found a really, actually gentle curiosity at school. I was equipped with a really simple answer, which was, I was born that way. And like a lot of times, kids would just accept that.
I went back to write about Robert when he was a few years older, and Mary showed me her diary.
Oh, you're getting too good, Robert.
You know, the most amazing story in it is about Robert wanted to run in the school sprint race.
Bang, the starter's gun went off. Robert kept up for the first few paces, and then he fell over. Quickly he got up again and once more started to run. Tears welled up in my eyes. My heart was bursting with pride. Spectators near the finishing line were calling out, "Come on, Robert, come on, Robert."
The judges on the finishing line had absolutely no idea who won the race because they were all looking at Robert. And Mary wrote in the diary, which shows what a good writer she is, because it's the detail that makes good writing. She wrote that a little boy standing next to her, turned and said to his mother, "It took a lot of boys to beat Robert, didn't it?"
What about with your legs, your artificial legs? Any other kids think it's a bit strange that you've got them?
Some of the grade 5ers, the new kids, take a while to get used to it. They all get used to it sooner or later.
Hugh did a follow-up story when I was probably 10 or 11. He talked about the wonderful work the doctors had done to use one of my amputated toes to build me a new nose. But kids, as kids do, will find anything they can to latch onto. And one of the more imaginative names they came up with was Toe Nose. There were a lot of more sort of really barbed taunts coming at me, and kids were getting a sense that they could try and take me on because of my disability, because of my facial deformities. There'd be times when that upset me and times when that made me really sad. The kids would have a go at me and I'd have a go at them back, and you know, I was pretty smart and I wasn't worried about giving it back as good as I got. By the time I got to grade 9 though, and the doctors were talking to Mary and Vince about why I should have another operation, Mum and Dad decided that I was old enough to make the decision myself.
I'm finding it more difficult to cope as I get older with the trauma of the operation itself, and it's probably only fear, and that's fear that he may not come through it. Each one is, I think, has a risk.
We sat down again to have a discussion about it, and my brother Michael was there, and we were talking about it, and Mum and Dad went through the risks again, and they talked about, you know, possibly going blind when the doctors moved my eyes. And Michael, who hadn't said much, just piped up and said, well, what use is it being pretty if he can't even see himself? And that was just an astounding moment of